Hi, welcome to Andrew Buckle book review of the Epic Collection Fantastic Four, Volume 8. This is Annihilus Revealed. Thomas Conway, Buscema, Andrew and Buckler, and many others as well, of course. This is Volume 8, and it contains 504 pages. Came out in 2022, so it's 1972 to 1974, and you can see the stories it contains. Fantastic Four, 126 to 146, giant-sized superstars. That was an unusual title. Superstars, issue 1. And Foom as well. It contains parts, a fair amount of Foom issue 1. Doesn't mention it, unfortunately. Of course, it's got the long list there of all the various other epics. Always great. And of course, you've got there, there's obviously what was on the cover, Thundra versus The Thing, which is unusual why they just didn't call it Thundra, because she turns up quite a bit. Instead, they used Annihilus. I never understand the titles they use for these epics. Makes no sense. I must admit, I still love the back cover there. That's a real good back cover. There's the ISBN number if you want to find it out there. You can see there. And 504 pages, like I say, with bonus material. And here's the contents. So there's the contents. You can see the full list of all the stories. The end of the Fantastic Four. Of course not. Hang on, the end of the Fantastic Four, that was issue 141. I wouldn't have thought. But the thing is, for me, this contains issue 132, which was my first issue. I love that issue. Reread it. I've still got it. And it's still just brilliant. Okay, it's not the world's greatest story, and that's the problem with a lot of this book. There's some okay stories, there's some really good stories, but not all particularly brilliant. But this one's an unusual one, and many of them actually, some of these earlier ones, the 126 and 127, I didn't read, certainly for quite a while, so it's really nice to actually get them in this form, and The Way It Began, which is a real quite nice story, obviously showing the origin. You got The Thing, and he gets this thought projector, which is very odd because there's scenes in this where she projects that he wasn't involved in. So how does he project that? It's like, well, no, he wasn't there. So that doesn't make any sense at all, but still, minor quibble on that. But it does, of course, have the classic origin. Now, obviously, he was there for that. And you've got them going through. It's obviously slightly retold, slight different changes of, but the basis of the story there is they crash and they change. Of course, you've got, now, of course, at this point, they wouldn't have known. Are they going to lose their powers? Are they going to have their powers forever? Are they going to remain? Because the Thing, of course, he was stuck in that form. But, of course, Human Torch didn't know that he could actually return to be Johnny Storm. But look at that, the way they did the Thing there. Looking really pretty brutal there. That was something there. And, of course, you've got the Mole Man story. And you've also got slight variation showing the Thing changing over time as well. And then you've got the actual Mole Man story there. That was 127. I had that issue. Kalu and Mole Man. And of course, she came from the Tales of Suspense story against Iron Man many, many years ago. And let's just go through those stories. It wasn't a great story. I'm not a big fan of Mole Man. All the way from issue 1, he's turned up quite a lot. He never seems to do very much. He's always sort of wandering around, sort of moaning about things. And that's about it. Obviously, he's got all these various... And there he is, Mole Man. And Kalu, I think that's how you say her name. Quite certain it is. Probably got it completely wrong. And of course, there's the Frightful Four. Friends or foes can... That's a great little picture there. That's really good. Truly say. The incredible, ever incredible Hulk. And of course, the Frightful Four. The Trapster. Or Pastepot Pete. I still call him Pastepot Pete, even now. Even though, of course, he is known as Trapster. And of course, there is Thundra. And I'm not certain why they just didn't call it Thundra. Especially when they got the cover with Thundra. Then they didn't call it that. And of course... You've got the Inhumans there, and Medusa, and many others. The Frightful Four +1. Now, the artwork is absolutely superb, as ever. I mean, it's really, really sharp. Now, of course, many people probably prefer it in the original form. Also, many ways, I prefer it in the black and white form, in the actual comics that, of course, I used to read, the UK comics. But you got here, good old Sandman, you've got Crystal, you've got everyone. You've got Inhumans there, Triton, and many. And, of course, there's a quick twist at the end where you got Quicksilver as well. But still, Revolt in Paradise. Absolutely classic. Oh, it's got a classic cover. I love that cover. This is one of the brilliant one. The Human Torch Goes Wild. Of course, Steranko cover. Would love to see a nice volume of quite a lot of these Steranko covers. They did lots and lots. Of course, Gil Kane would be another one I would love to see. But this one is brilliant. Like I say, you got the classic 132. For me, classic. Obviously not for everyone. I'm certain some people think 132 is a non-issue really, but it's still, I found quite a touching issue. And of course you've got the Fantastic Four 133 where you've got the Power of Thundra and Thing, Battle of the Centuries, it says there. You've got them walking through. I love that scene. Happy New Year. And you've got all obviously looking slightly depressed there, but we've got all the snow. Can't beat a good old snow scene there. But then you go on to the story, and then the next one is Dragon Man, 134 there. Stop him, he's got my wife, my child. I wasn't particularly enamoured by this one. It's got Gideon, who was an early character. You think he would have learned his lesson. He did learn his lesson back in the day, and then mysteriously he comes back again. Why? Who knows? But still. John Buscema, of course, doing the artwork there. The Eternity Machine. Holy ... And Rock Around the Chaos. That was an odd one. The Wild One cometh, the Shaper, comes in the storyline. That's a very peculiar little tale. Not the world's greatest one. It's one of those ones that I sort of thought, the monster alive. But still, the madness is the... Actually, at this point, for some weird reason, there are lots of stories that sort of hark back to the early days. So you've got here, you've got the Miracle Man, of course, issue 3. You've got here, we've just called him the Miracle Man. Of course, he's got a few more powers than he used to. Of course, there's always a twist at the end for that storyline. But still. So that's that one with Miracle Man. And Annihilus. Not a favourite of mine, so that's why it's always slightly odd that they called it that. I don't even know why they called it, because it's just two stories, that's it. Why call it that one? It makes no... It's the end of the Fantastic Four, as it says, as always. There's always characters always wandering off. Because, in this case, no friend beside him, as obviously the Ben Grimm. This is the end of the Fantastic Four. Face it, Richards. How many times did you do that? It was... You got this character, Darkos. And there's again twists and turns in this story as well. A blockbuster bonus. The most sinister supervillain of all. Well, you can virtually guess who that is. Got to be, hasn't it? But still, Darkos. They could only have that sort of... But still, again, why didn't they just call it a Doom story? Because virtually every Epic collection would end up being a Doom one. This is an unusual one. Turnak. It's odd. Sort of set, obviously set like out in the middle of nowhere. First, there's the cold. Of course, with the Human Torch, very useful to have a character. But you've got this character. Sort of a really non-story, really, ultimately. But still... There's that. And actually, also, there were actually 2. They did quite a few of these 2 stories. Sort of obviously double stories. So it wasn't just one, it would continue on into the next one. And that was it. Run through of all the tales. And of course, you've got this as well. It's not one of the world's greatest ones there. It's a thing goes through there, and the Human Torch as well. But the next story is an unusual one. And this one is one that I've never read, and I will sit down and actually read it at some point. This one's a giant size superstars featuring Fantastic Four. I always wondered, was there going to be an issue 2 or 3 or 4? What were they going to do there with this superstars one? Was it intentional that they were going to create, multiple issues? Very strange. But still, of course, it's got the whole... It's near enough like a Marvel team-up, I suppose. Maybe that was the intention, sort of Marvel team-up book. In this case, Hulk and Fantastic Four. Maybe they would have done the Fantastic Four and some other sort of characters. Who knows? But still. And you can see here the Magnificent Marvel proudly presents the biggest and greatest newest mag of all, which they, of course, only had 1 issue of. It didn't last very long. A 24-page super saga. Actually, look, feels longer than that. It's weird when you have those sort of things. The 2 Marvel mightiest. It even says here, most far-out announcement of all. Marvel giant-sized superstars will be winging your wondrous way each and every month. Alternating epic adventures of the FF, Conan the Barbarian, and the friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. A colossal... Oh, no, I did. That's weird as well. And a colossal companion mag is already in the work to start the Marvel Age of Comics all over again. I wonder what happened to that. Was there another? But anyway, it's just, I've never realised that, I must admit. On sale, obviously, that was going to be another one. But still, let's get on to the bonus material. Because this is the bonus material which I would love, truly love, to see a Food volume, omnibus. It definitely needs to be an omnibus, because it'd be terrible if it was an Epic collection. I mean, it's nice to see them in Epic, but these were all omnibus-ish sized. It was a magazine. And I did get 4 issues of it. Can't remember which numbers, number 9, 10, 11 or whatever. I just sort of decided, I must get the Foom. It was quite expensive as well. It wasn't like, but I didn't get the issue 1. And that's obviously the issue 1 cover. I think it's issue 1, yes, first issue, spring 1973. But this one is really good because it also contains the cover. Look at that. I mean, that is just really, really nice, sort of unusual version of the cover. Cover of the first issue, as it says there. Very strangely done. But still, got some great pictures. And also it included these as well, which is, I think, is just great. And the thing that's really odd, Inca. A lot of people, I think, argue, they've been arguing, or is it probably personally, but they've been arguing whoever the Inca was. I think sometimes you see like Chris Rule and a few other people always mention, but here it's got Dick Ayers. And it says Dick Ayers, Dick Ayers, Dick Ayers for. So you would assume that Marvel would have kept the records and would know that. I don't know. That seems to be fairly different, even though people will probably argue it doesn't look like his work. I'm always was very sceptical about those things sometimes, about if it looks like, because sometimes, of course, there's certain reasons things don't end up looking exactly the same, I guess, but I don't know. But it's just odd. I just wonder if that's the case or not. And certain people will disagree. But this, of course, number 4 as well. Turns its attention to Dr. Doom in this one. And, of course, you've got quotations from Chairman Doom. And also it's got, but weirdly, didn't include an index for Doom. Oh, Foom 5. I remember that one. I remember seeing that one. I didn't have that one. Though weirdly, it says down here, it says Foom 4. So slightly odd the way they listed it there. But it was a great little magazine. I loved Foom. And it's also got some bonus material at the back as well. In fact, there was some slight subtle changes apparently to this cover. I mean, I've actually gone backwards and forwards looking at that cover. It's very subtle. If there's slight change, apparently there's a slight tilt to make it more dynamic. And I think that's great. That's always why sometimes I'm always surprised when you quite often see some covers that Marvel brought out in the 70s and 60s. And you think, why? They were really quite not particular, and yet they spent some effort to make sort of cover. This one looks quite dynamic, and yet it looks amazingly dynamic to me. I think it's just a brilliant cover. I love that one. I think the Human Torch just looked staggeringly brilliant on there, and also Crystal and everyone else. But you've also got the one there, photo. Oh, additional sand was added to his left hand, so it popped over the logo, and the caption box was altered. Sort of odd, those sort of things, just subtle, just changes. Obviously, people thought it was important at the time, but it's just very hard to see why now. But still, the end of the Fantastic Four, of course, the one that I've mentioned earlier, Attack. This is 144, and then of course you've got the back page, and that's Fantastic Four. I love the blue. This, more so than the stories. I think this is one of the reasons why I bought this one. One, because of the issue 132, but I love that blue. I love things with blue like that. Just really stands out. Really, it's a great cover, and the red there hanging down there. Though it makes it, I love it. Fantastic Four. This is the Epic Volume 8, and it's, like I say, 1972-74, and some great but not so great stories, but still worth getting. And probably from now on, I will be getting epics instead of omnibus ones. I think I've out-omnibused myself. I've got to the point where I think no more omnibuses. I think, other than maybe the Warlock one. I'm still thinking Warlock one, maybe. But the trouble is, of course, I'll get the Warlock omnibus, and they'll bring out the epic, and I'll be thinking, maybe I should have waited to get the epic one. Because most of the things, the stories that I want to get, are the power of the Warlock. And that's probably going to be in the Epic Volume 1. But still, this one, I love it. Still love it. And it's great. And actually, weirdly, just as I was just starting this video, another one came to the letterbox. And this one, The Incredible Hulk, which I will be looking forward to read, because many of the stories I have not read. Of course, it's got the classic Hulk issue 181. Not one I'm actually that familiar with, because for some reason I don't think we got it in the UK, or not readily available anyway. Probably was in Dark, they were in Golden Eye, but it certainly wasn't many places. So it wasn't an issue that I particularly read that much. And of course now it's such a collector's item, it's sort of, it's not one you pick up. I know it's facsimiles, but still. So I got this one, Volume 7, so I'm looking forward to read that in the next couple of days. So, absolutely brilliant, Fantastic Four epics, and I will be, like I say, buying a few more epics. I've got Daredevil and a couple others on my mind as well. Anyway, bye.